Please take your seats. The firefighter procession will begin shortly. S'il vous plaît, maintenant vous asseoir. Le défilé des pompiers va bientôt débuter. Please remain seated. Uniformed personnel will rise and pay compliments to the colors and may be seated once the colors pass. Prière demeurer assis. Les membres en uniforme salueront au passage le cortège des drapeaux. Ils pourront par la suite s'asseoir.
this party! On the left! Quick! March! Left, 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 right, left. Quick. Right. Left, right, left. Left, left.
Please be seated.
We begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. The Algonquins have lived on this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to have the opportunity to be present present in this territory. Nous commençons par reconnaître que la terre sur laquelle nous nous rassemblons est le territoire traditionnel non cédé au peuple algonquin Anishinaabe. Les peuples algonquins habitent ce territoire depuis des temps immémoriaux. Nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir l'opportunité d'être présents sur ce territoire.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the national anthem? Mesdames et messieurs, s'il vous plaît, vous levez pour l'hymne national du Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. Car ton bras sait porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Mike McKenna, Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation, second Vice President, and I will be your Master of Ceremonies for today's ceremony. On behalf of the Executive, the Board of Directors of the Canadian Fallen Firefighter Foundation, welcome to the 22nd Canadian Firefighters Annual Memorial Ceremony. I would like to introduce our dignitaries for today's ceremony. Bonjour à vous tous, je m'appelle Mike McKenna et je suis le deuxième vice-président de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service. Je serai aujourd'hui votre maître de la cérémonie au nom du comité exécutif et du conseil d'administration de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service. Je tiens à vous souhaiter la plus cordiale bienvenue à la 22e cérémonie annuelle à la mémoire des pompiers canadiens. Mais avant de débuter, laissez-moi vous présenter nos dignitaires pour la cérémonie d'aujourd'hui. Representing the Government of Canada, représentant le gouvernement du Canada, the Honourable David McGuinty, Minister of National Defence, Member of Parliament for Ottawa South. L'Honorable David McGuinty, Ministre de la Défense nationale. Representing the Canadian Fallen Firefighter Foundation, our President, retired Fire Chief David Sheen. Le président de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service, le chef des pompiers à la retraite, M. David Sheen. I now introduce retired Fire Chief David Sheen, President of the Canadian Fallen Firefighter Foundation. Je vous présente maintenant le chef des pompiers à la retraite, M. Dave Sheen, Président de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service.
Thank you, Mike, and good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation Board of Directors, ambassadors, partners, sponsors, and all of our friends, it's my privilege to welcome you all to the 22nd Annual Canadian Fallen Firefighters Memorial Ceremony. A special welcome, of course, to the Minister of National Defense, David McGuinty, to the Parliamentary Secretary of National Defense, Sherry Romanato, Member of Parliament, Chris D'Entremont from Nova Scotia, and Senator Hassan Youssef, who have joined us today. And also to any of our national, provincial, and municipal elected leaders who may be in attendance with us. Each year, we gather at this sacred place to honor and remember our brothers and sisters who made the ultimate sacrifice in laying down their lives for the protection of others, of property, and of the environment. This year, we add and honor another 140 names on our memorial and have welcomed and hosted 112 families for Memorial Weekend. It's only fitting that our Canadian brothers and sisters should be immortalized here in our nation's capital, firefighters from sea to sea to sea, and all communities in between. To the families of these heroes, it is an honor for us to welcome you to the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation family. We pledge to you our support to the best of our abilities, and we promise you that your loved one, your hero, will never be forgotten. We will always continue to hold you on, we will always continue to hold you close and to pray for you as you continue on your journey. We hope that this Memorial Weekend and today's ceremony proves to be helpful to you in your grieving process. In the coming days, the Foundation will meet to commence plans for another memorial and to try to lay plans to grow this foundation and to better be in a position to offer even more support to our fallen family circle, whether it be counseling, education, or peer support networks. We will also continue to promote firefighter safety to try to look towards that day where everyone goes home. And we only gather here annually to remember those who came before us and those whose shoulders we stand on. Thank you all for joining us in this sacred space with us today and in this commemoration, for helping us to ensure that they will never be forgotten, and also for your continued support of the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation.
Bonjour à tous. Au nom du conseil d'administration, des ambassadeurs, des partenaires, et des commanditaires et des amis de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service, j'ai le privilège et l'honneur de souhaiter la plus cordiale bienvenue à la 22e cérémonie commémorative annuelle en hommage aux pompiers canadiens morts en service. Chaque année, nous nous réunissons en ce lieu sacré pour honorer et nous souvenir de nos frères et nos sœurs qui ont fait l'ultime sacrifice pour protéger leurs concitoyens, les biens et l'environnement. Cette année, nous ajoutons et honorons 140 noms supplémentaires sur notre monument et accueillerons 112 familles. Ne peut plus légitime que nos frères et sœurs canadiens qui ont servi nos communautés d'un océan à l'autre soient immortalisés ici et même dans notre capitale nationale. Aux familles de ces héros, c'est un honneur pour nous de vous accueillir au sein de la grande famille de la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service. Nous nous engageons à vous apporter notre soutien du mieux que nous pouvons et vous promettons que votre être cher, votre héros, ne sera jamais oublié. Nous resterons toujours à votre côté et prierons pour vous au cours de votre cheminement. Pour le moment, Nous espérons que cette fin de semaine commémorative et la cérémonie d'aujourd'hui vous seront salutaires dans votre processus de deuil. Au cours des prochains jours, la Fondation se réunissra afin d'entamer les préparatifs d'un autre monument et de poser les bases d'un plan visant à renforcer son impact, ainsi que cet avantage en mesure d'offrir un soutien accru aux familles de nos disparus, qu'il s'agit de counseling, d'éducation ou de réseaux de soutien entre pairs. Nous continuerons également à promouvoir la sécurité des pompiers en espérant voir le jour où chacun d'entre eux pourra retourner sain et sauf à la caserne. C'est alors que nous pourrons nous réunir ici chaque année pour honorer la mémoire de ceux et celles qui nous ont précédés et dont nous soutient encore aujourd'hui. Merci à tous de votre participation à cette cérémonie et de votre contribution qui en font sorte que nos disparus ne soient jamais oubliés. Merci aussi pour votre soutien continu à la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service. It is now my pleasure to introduce. C'est maintenant mon plaisir de vous présenter l'honorable David McGuinty.
Good morning, bonjour à tous. David Sheen, Chief Ken McMullen, firefighters, parliamentary colleagues, families and friends of the fallen. Today we are gathering for a solemn occasion, and I have to say it is humbling to be here before you today, to honor firefighters that have fallen in the line of duty. Our fallen heroes chose this path for profoundly selfless reasons: to serve their communities, to protect their neighbors, and to put the safety of others above their own. Without hesitation, they've rushed into danger to save lives and get people out of harm's way. Cette année, on rend hommage à 140 pompiers tombés en service. Leurs actes de bravoure et d'héroïsme sont indéniables et méritent d'être soulignés. Des organismes comme la Fondation canadienne des pompiers morts en service font un travail remarquable pour préserver leur héritage et nous rappeler le véritable coût de notre sécurité à chacun. Every year, during wildfire season, firefighters are called on to battle extremely dangerous fires to protect our communities. This year's wildfire season is the second worst year on record, with 7.3 million hectares of land in Canada burnt due to those fires. These fires are devastating. Entire communities have been uprooted, with tens of thousands forced to evacuate as flames threaten their homes and their livelihoods. And it's at these moments of crisis that communities rely on you. You are there at one of the scariest times possible in people's lives. You show up to help when they feel helpless, and you help protect the community that they love. To all firefighters here today, and those across the country, know that Canadians are deeply grateful for your service, your dedication, your resilience, and your bravery inspire us all. To the families of the fallen, on behalf of a grateful, very grateful nation, I want to say thank you. Thank you for supporting your loved ones as they answered the call to service. Service and sacrifice are never individual pursuits. They take the unwavering love and support of parents, spouses, siblings, children, and friends. And I offer my deepest condolences on your loss. Losing a loved one is one of life's greatest hardships. It's heartbreaking, and we are heartbroken for you. But please take comfort in knowing that their legacy lives on. Through the countless lives they have touched, through the safety they helped preserve, and through the memories we hold dear, they remain with us. Je vous offre mes plus sincères condoléances. Perdre un être cher est l'une des épreuves les plus dures de la vie. Mais sachez que leur héritage perdure. Par les innombrables vies touchées, par la sécurité préservée et par les souvenirs qui nous sont chers, qui restent avec nous. So today, as we remember these brave souls, let us renew our commitment to honor their sacrifice by supporting the men and the women who continue to put their lives on the line every single day. We owe it to them to never forget their sacrifices. Thank you. Merci.
We will now honor those firefighters added to the Canadian Firefighters Memorial this year. Nous allons maintenant rendre hommage à tous ces pompiers qui ont fait l'ultime sacrifice alors qu'ils étaient en service actif. Firefighter Harold Ray, Middleton Fire Department, Nova Scotia. Captain Charles McGuinness, Saskatoon Fire Department, Saskatchewan. Firefighter Peter Dyke, St. Catharines Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Jack Wilford, Woodstock Fire Department, Ontario. Captain William A. Robertson, Burnaby Fire Department. Deputy Chief John Fitzpatrick, Hamilton Fire Department. Firefighter Ralph Parker, Peterborough Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Donald Lane, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Frank Kenkel, Cambridge Fire Department, Ontario. Fire Chief Bill Giesbrick, Hanover Fire Department, Manitoba. District Chief Robert Gibson, Thunder Bay Fire Rescue. Captain Peter Holt, Burnaby Fire Department, British Columbia. Firefighter Royden Wilson, Ajax Fire and Emergency Services, Ontario. Captain Charles Lucas, Ottawa Fire Services, Ontario. Firefighter Sandy Ines, Brantford Fire Department, Ontario. Firefighter Troy Comerson, Brantford Fire Department, Ontario. Firefighter Michael Scott, Central York Fire Services, Ontario. Fire Chief James Evans, Town of Erin Fire and Emergency Services, Ontario. District Chief David Atwell, Etobicoke Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Duncan Gibson, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Leonard Rapper, Woodstock Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Paul Hurst, Collingwood Fire Department, Ontario. Firefighter Robert Bertling, Norfolk Fire County Fire Services. Fire Chief John A. Stewart, Burnaby Fire Department, British Columbia. Firefighter Stephen Pocock, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Brian Rigalbuto, Ottawa Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Gerald Wilson, Edmonton Fire Rescue Services. Lieutenant Claude Asselin, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. Battalion Chief Brian Powell, Vancouver Fire Rescue Services, British Columbia. Chief John Sibley, Woodstock Fire Department, Ontario. Chief Gary Budden, Lewisport Fire Rest in Newfoundland. Captain Graham Luher, Coquitlam Fire Rescue, British Columbia. District Chief James Finn, Milton Fire and Rescue Service. Fire Chief Michael Isles, Dysart, Ayala Fire Department, Ontario. Fire Chief David Doyle, Nelson Miramichi Fire Department, New Brunswick. Firefighter Lee Harriott, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Barry McIntyre, Sydney Mines Volunteer Fire Rescue, Nova Scotia. Firefighter Raymond Sawada, Burnaby Fire Department, British Columbia. Pompier Christophe Fer Lavoie, Service de sécurité incendie Saint-Urbain, Québec. Firefighter Bill Mallet, Hamilton Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Craig Bowman, Welland Fire and Emergency Services, Ontario. Firefighter George Hubert, Tofino Volunteer Fire Department, British Columbia. Firefighter Edmund Dupuis, Thunder Bay Fire Rescue, Ontario. Lieutenant Simon Pelletier, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. Captain Brian Fuller, Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Manitoba. District Chief John Draper, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Lieutenant Sylvain Isabelle, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. Lieutenant Claude Hébert, Sûreté des Riverains, Valleyfield, Québec. Lieutenant Mark Shapiro, Vancouver Airport Authority, British Columbia. Captain Orville Thurtell, Kevin Monahan, Fire Department, Ontario. Battalion Chief George Matches, Vancouver Fire Rescue Services, British Columbia. Deputy Chief Colin Rudell, Niagara Falls Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Eric Adams, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Lieutenant Jean-Guy Montpetit, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. District Chief William Gregg, Saskatoon Fire Department. Senior Firefighter Billy Stewart, Calgary Fire Department, Alberta. Firefighter Donald Gilpin, Cambridge Fire Department, Ontario. Senior Firefighter Paul Lowlocker, Toefield Fire Department, Alberta. District Chief Michael Finley, Edmonton Fire Rescue Services, Alberta. Fire Chief James Sharon, Leduc Fire Services, Alberta. Firefighter Peter Chitty, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Air Attack Officer Brian Dreyer, Alberta Agriculture and Forestry, Alberta. Firefighter Brian Moore, Hamilton Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Donald McDonald, St. Albert Fire Services, Alberta. Lieutenant René Choquette, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. Chief Ted Dillon, Ponoka County Regional Fire Services. Captain Donald McFarland, Moncton Volunteer Fire Department, New Brunswick. Firefighter Ronald Reed, Hamilton Fire Department, Ontario. Firefighter Matthew Lubiniecki, Regina Fire and Protective Services, Saskatchewan. Safety Officer Ronald Murray, Winnipeg Fire and Paramedic Services, Manitoba. Firefighter John Burjaw, Hamilton Fire Department, Ontario. Captain William Marr, Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency, Nova Scotia. Senior Firefighter Preston Heinbigner, Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Manitoba. Firefighter Michael Foley, Brampton Fire and Emergency Services, Ontario. Captain Craig Davis, Westmount Fire Department, Quebec. Captain Burton Weiss, Toronto Fire Services. Captain Ryan McDermott, Edmonton Fire Rescue Services. Captain Douglas Cook, Toronto Fire Services. Platoon Chief Paul Ritchie, Ajax Fire and Emergency Services. Firefighter Reed Simpson, Hamilton Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Sean Coles, Toronto Fire Services. Directeur Bruno Jodin, Service de sécurité incendie, Marieville, Québec. Captain Donald Sturco, Kalmar Fire Department, Alberta. Firefighter David Sutton, Puslinch Fire Department, Ontario. Pilot Thomas Frith, Great Slave Helicopters, Northwest Territories, Forest Management Division, Northwest Territories. Pompier Ghislaine Mador, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal. Fire Marshal Paul Little, Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services. Captain Warren Robinson, Ayrescliff Fire Department, Quebec. Training Officer Eric Mueller, Chilliwack Fire Department, British Columbia. Firefighter Graham Paulette, Port Moody Fire and Rescue. Captain Robert Smith, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Carl Danchila, Prince Albert Fire Department. Battalion Chief William Burden, Vancouver Fire Rescue Services, British Columbia. Lieutenant Claude Charlebois, Ottawa Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Steen Lorson, Burnaby Fire Department, British Columbia. Deputy Chief Heather Horn, Prince Edward Island Firefighter School, Prince Edward Island. Division Chief of Training Thomas Crook, Strathcona County Emergency Services, Alberta. Engineer William Gillis, Alberton Fire Department, Prince Edward Island. Platoon Chief William Lynch, Thunder Bay Fire Rescue, Ontario. Deputy Chief Craig MacArthur, Hanover Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Alan Marchand, Whitby Fire and Emergency Services. Chef de Division Jules Bolduc, Service de protection contre les incendies de Québec, Québec. Firefighter Bob Price, LaSalle Fire Services, Ontario. Platoon Chief Dennis Gobey, Ottawa Fire Services, Ontario. Captain John Vandenberg, Woolwich Fire Services, Ontario. Captain Gordon Pottinger, Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service, Manitoba. Assistant Directeur Pierre Clermont, Service de sécurité incendie de Montréal, Québec. Firefighter Ronald Jameson, Niagara Falls Department, Ontario. Firefighter Dennis Mould, Ottawa Fire Services, Ontario. Assistant Training Chief Bruce McWhirter, Oakville Fire Department. Captain John West, Calgary Fire Department, Alberta. Firefighter Larry Lupinette, Belleville Fire Department. Firefighter Howard Longley, Sarnia Fire Rescue Service, Ontario. Chris Francesconi, Belleville Fire Department, Ontario. Captain Stephen Villeneuve, District of North Vancouver Fire Department, British Columbia. Captain Ronald Forrest, Calgary Fire Department, Alberta. Firefighter Gary Maurer, Canadian Forces Base, Esquimalt, Fire Rescue, British Columbia. Captain Brian Coles, Toronto Fire Services, Ontario. Foundation First Vice President Doug Wiley will now read the names of those firefighters added to the Canadian Firefighters Memorial whose families were unable to attend. Comme à chaque année, le premier vice-président de la Fondation, M. Doug Wiley, même feront maintenant la lecture des noms de tous les pompiers qui ont été ajoutés au monument des pompiers canadiens depuis la dernière cérémonie.
Captain Fred Beer, Brampton Fire and Emergency Services. Firefighter Michael Pope, Ottawa Fire Services. Captain Thomas Mickelmoyle, Toronto Fire Services. Captain David Carruthers, Owen Sound Fire and Emergency Services. Captain James Egat, London Fire Department. Platoon Chief Charles Dominatrix, Welland Fire and Emergency Services. Lieutenant Jean-Guy Lake, Service de Sécurité Incendie du Montréal. Lieutenant Claude Assis, Service de Sécurité Incendie du Montréal. Firefighter Matthew Howe, Brampton Fire Department. Fire Chief Simon Collier, St. Albans Volunteer Fire Rescue. Captain Terry Napodiuk, Toronto Fire Services. Pompier Jean-Paul Bastien, Service de Sécurité Incendie de Montréal. Senior Captain Ralph Amero, Toronto Fire Services. Pompier Gilles Bernier, Service de Sécurité Incendie de Montréal. Pompier Michel Beauly, Service de Protection contre l'incendie du Québec. Division Chief James Donaldson, Ottawa Fire Services. Assistant Chief Brian Wozniakowski, Surrey Fire Services. Pompier Yvonne Turner, Service de Sécurité Incendie du Montréal. Firefighter Douglas DeBrusque, Kitchener Fire Department. Fire Prevention Officer David Mark, Kitchener Fire Department. Training Officer David Phillips, New Westminster Fire and Rescue Services. Captain David Morgan, Ottawa Fire Services. And Firefighter Mike Tews, Cambridge Fire Department.
In the past, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of firefighter shift, sounded each alarm, and when the call was completed. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, it was the toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. And so, to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their tasks completed, their duties well done, to our comrades, their last alarm, they are going home. Autrefois, c'était la cloche qui signalait le début du corps des pompiers, elle qui faisait retentir chaque alarme, elle encore qui marquait la fin des appels, et lorsque un pompier mourait dans l'exercice de ses fonctions, c'était cette même cloche qui annonçait la deuil du camarade. Ainsi est-il pour ceux et celles qui ont consenti au don de leur vie pour leurs semblables, leur tâche étant achevée et leur devoir bien accompli. Pour vous, chers camarades, votre dernière alarme est venue. Vous pouvez maintenant rentrer. Would the uniformed personnel please rise and pay respect for the playing of the last post? Personnel en uniforme, veuillez vous lever et respecter le jeu du dernière sonnerie. Please be seated. Supervisor, please. Now call on Reverend John Moses, Foundation. J'invite maintenant le moigné de la Fondation Jean Moses. Foundation Chapel.
Family, friend, distinguished guests, Red Knight, Firefighter. Une fois encore, nous sommes ici assemblés pour honorer, pour nous souvenir de nos défunts. Encore 140 noms ont été ajoutés à ce monument pour un total de 2129 membres perdus. Le désir, the desire to equip, to support, to guide these 112 families that are here today is a constant in the midst of the directors and members of the Canadian Fallen Firefighters Foundation. Nous désirons vous dire que nous vous aimons. Nous vous offrons une épaule pour vous conforter et promouvoir un support pour des jours meilleurs dans l'avenir. This weekend is a testament of our love and of your love and sacrifice that endure and share grief that unite. En ce lieu solennel, j'ai l'honneur d'offrir une bénédiction toute spéciale. Que l'Éternel vous bénisse et qu'il vous garde. Que l'Éternel fasse luire sa face sur vous et qu'il t'accorde sa grâce. Que l'Éternel tourne sa face vers vous et qu'il vous donne la paix. At this solemn place, I will offer a special benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Now ask Dave Carroll, musician. Come forward.
Firefighters at the station, listen as the tone goes out. Fire alarms activate, and the building is showing smoke. So the engine rolls to trouble again. There's people at the scene just watching. People running out for their lives. The firefighters get there and help them out. And you're looking for more inside, 'cause that's just what they do, these women and men. 'Cause they made a promise, and here they come. Someone heard and called 911. And the siren saying, hope is on the way. There's a hero racing to help a stranger today. A little girl's voice is shaking. She's speaking in a panicked tone. Daddy's on the floor and sleeping, to an operator on the phone. And so they head away to trouble again. They find him near the kitchen table with vitals that are fading fast. The firefighters work with steady hands, struggling to bring him back, 'cause that's just what they do, these women and men. 'Cause they made a promise, and here they come. Someone heard and called 911, and the sirens saying, hope is on the way. There's a hero racing to save a stranger today. People in the world need saving. The saviors who answer the call don't get paid anymore for danger, or get to pick the ones they help. They just go to where the few will go, maybe lay it all on the line as they do their job. Do it one more time. 'Cause they made a promise, and here they come. Someone heard and called 911, and the sirens saying, hope is on the way. There's a hero racing to help a stranger today. There's a hero racing to help a stranger today.
Before we conclude today's ceremony with the Honor Guard's March Past, and the final salute to the families, this year's honorary host, Representative, Canadian Fallen Firefighter President, Dave Sheen will pass the all-fallen helmet to the 2016 host, Brampton Fire Emergency Services, represented today by Deputy Chief Richard Murdoch. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official ceremony. We sincerely thank you for joining us in this act of honor and remembrance. Mesdames et messieurs, cela met la fin à la cérémonie officielle. Nous vous remercions sincèrement de vous être joints à nous aujourd'hui afin de rendre hommage et de souvenir. Merci. Thank you.